Hi folks,
Hi,
I'm Glenn,
and I'm Maureen.
and today we're going to walk you through the steps we're going to take to construct our TeePee shelters. We've actually got 3 of them that we're going to be working on. Today we're going to show you what we're doing on one of them and what it takes to get it together and complete it. Do-it-yourself project right here on Cabin Life. So what we've done is we've gone into the bush. We looked in the cedar grove for dead and standing cedar trees or trees that had already fallen down, like this one, that aren't too rotten. They're still strong enough that they will last a number of years. And for this purpose, what we've got here for a teepee structure, it's very light wood, and it's just going to have a tarp around it. It'll stay fairly dry for the most part. And the main thing is that all the poles are roughly the same length. And we're going to clean them up now. So I've got the poles all pretty well cleaned up now. All the main branches and stuff sticking out are pretty well flush with the wood. Now the tarp won't get poked. And I'm just going to take some household electrical wire that I've stripped out and we'll just use the wire as our wrapping for the poles. So basically what we'll do is we'll take the poles, crisscross them in a configuration that's easy enough for the teepee to be hoisted properly without any strain on the ends of the poles. So I'm going to lay them out in a crisscross fashion to start, and then we're going to wrap up the poles individually with wire, and we'll wrap the wire up loose enough that there's enough slack for the poles to move around a little bit, and yet they're all still tied together as one configuration. Then once the tarp is on it, the tarp will also help to hold everything in place as well, especially for this smaller shelter. It's not that big, so with a larger one it might be a little bit more important to make sure we get everything really tied down good. Anyway, and then place one down the middle, again sticking out about the same amount as these. That one can go there. So the whole unit now moves, but everything's moving individually and freely. So now when these get hoisted and moved around, in a circle, they should still have lots of room, and yet they'll still all support one another. So let's just hoist it for now and see how it sits and see how that goes. There, we can spread those apart as much as we want, really, and it just gives that much more room in here. I mean, if you had to, right? It's big enough. It's big enough for 2 bodies in here. You tarp it all up. And it's strong enough. So basically, this is our teepee. And I'll show you how we arrive at this particular shape and whatnot, because you can't just throw a tarp on top of a cone shape and expect everything to fit. So, thanks to Far North Bushcraft and Lonnie for his tips on getting a tarp together for a TeePee shelter. And it doesn't matter what the size is, the principle is the same. Basically what he explained to us is you simply mark off, if you've got, let's say for instance, a 11 by 18 tarp or something like that, you just divide this into 18 separate sections this way, and you take this measurement here from this point to this point equals one unit. Divide this in to make sure there's 18 of these going across, and you want 12 of these same units going this way here. Okay, and you want 12 of them going across. So if it's a 12 by 18 that you're working with. So then what we did was we just cut the excess off and made it so that was our 12, represented our 12 by 18 tarp, like this. And basically what we did was we just simply drew a line from the center and traced that line like so all the way around to make the arc. This is the dead center here, and this then becomes your tarp. Yes, there is some wastage, but when it all comes together, just when it all comes together, then it doesn't always come together, but something like that, and then it makes a tent. And that represents our cone shape for our teepee and the tarp, and that's basically the way it would go. And with the 18 feet, that gives it 9 feet across and approximately 9 feet tall. Our teepee is a little taller than that. We can always cut the poles down, shorten them a little bit to fit the size. We know it's a little bigger than what we actually need at this point, so it's all good. We're good. So now we're going to transfer what we did with this, and we're going to transfer it to our tarp. Okay, in order to transfer the measurements and the configuration to the tarp, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a marker, something to cut with, and a string, and a tape measure if you want to be exact with your measurements. This part here that's the excess, we're going to keep that because we can probably use that for perhaps the door or other patching and that kind of a thing. And or we can cover up other firewood around the property as well with it. So quite multi-purpose. Okay, so we're gonna spread this out and then tape it, right? Here we go. So there it is, transferred from the piece of paper now to the tarp. Basically what we had. Now we're going to tape up all the edges so that it won't fray. To the pole here, just so it keeps the tarp up when I go to hoist it. That's all. That's all it's for. Well, there we go. We have enough space to sit in here if it's raining and whatnot, and we still want to be out watching the rain or something, then we can do that. It's big enough to store stuff in. And if somebody wants to come up camping, there's an extra place for their stuff, or if they want to just sleep in it, they can do that too. Well, that's it for this small shelter done. And now that we've gone through the experience of putting this one together, we can move on to the larger one, which will even be more fun. But at least now we know what we're up against, and next one will even be that much better. So there we go. That's it for this edition of Cabin Life. I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
We'll see you next time. Over and out.
Take care.